folks, Phil Gallagher of Thraben University here for another Sweet Legacy stream. I have a very spicy deck list tonight, courtesy of my good friend Connor Fulse, who has shipped me a four-color Loam deck list. Now, for those of you who are followers of Loam content, in the past 2 to 3 months probably, four-color Loam has been trending more and more towards blue because Oko in particular is so powerful in the shell. But we've seen a major metagame mix-up, and Connor, aka Lomer Boy, wanted to try something new. And he just 5-0'd with a deck list that was 2 cards off from this. This one has some spicy new cards in it, such as Kaya Orzhov Usurper. We're going to keep this one up here for a minute. So it's +1 to exile 2 target cards from a single graveyard. You gain 2 life if at least 1 creature card was exiled this way. So its plus can help deal with things like Delve, Dreadhorde Arcanist, Lurrus, those sorts of things. Its minus is exile target non-land permanent with CMC 1 or less. So it can get rid of things like LED, Ether Vial, Noble Hierarch, Delver of Secrets, Chalice of the Void, I suppose, if that's something you need to get rid of for some reason. And then its ultimate, which is a -5, it deals damage to target player equal to the number of cards that player owns in exile, and you gain that much life. So the ultimate is not going to be impressive early on in the game. So like, let's say your opponent Force of Wills something and you Kaya twice. And there's 5 cards in exile. It's damage equal to number of cards in exile. So like, it's only gonna be like maybe 5 if you're just like trying to turbo this out. But that's not really what this is about. This is the sort of thing that's going to sit on the battlefield for a long time and keep nuking their graveyard every turn. And then in the mid-game, you know, turn 7 or so, you might realistically be able to, like, nug them for 10 and actually just, like, win the game and close it on the spot. Demonic, thank you very much for following. I hope you're enjoying the content. There's a lot of other spicy things in this deck list. We have a 1 of Kroxa, which is pretty hot if you just like mill over that and you get a 6/6 out of your graveyard. Filling a similar but slightly different role to something like Uro that has been in the blue iterations of the deck list. We have Klothys, God of Destiny, which is a pseudo Deathrite Shaman card. And it's been pretty good in a couple of the lists that Connor has shipped me over time. The sideboard doesn't contain anything that's too surprising other than the Chandra Awakened Inferno, which longtime fans of the stream know that this is a big pet card of mine. I absolutely love this card and have racked up a lot of treasure chests playing with this in Red Prison. And whenever I get a chance to throw that into a deck, I love doing so. Otherwise, we just have a lot of powerful effects here. We have a split of Stony Silence and Collector Oof, to just make it slightly harder to answer those things for decks like Zerda. And then we have a handful of Hate Bears and Hateful Carriers, as well as a handful of removal. Connor just 5-0'd with a deck list that was 2 cards different from this one, and I want to just talk about that difference very quickly. Connor's version had a Thespian Stage and a Dark Depths in the spot where I have 2 Windswept Heaths. I have opted to play just 2 more lands to try to keep my mana a little bit smoother. So I'm giving up the I win button off of Knight to have slightly better mana, because we do have some varying and intensive mana costs. So like if you look at our double costs, we have like green black, green white, green red, white black, and we also have black black, red red to be thinking about. And that's not getting into the fringe scenarios where like we want to also like cast a Leyline of the Void that we've drawn, and like we also have red red to be thinking about. So I just wanted to have a little bit more access to my mana consistently, because that's something that can be problematic for Loam openers when you don't have Mox Diamond. No basic Swamp for Decay under Blood Moon. That is, I believe, correct. So if we get Mooned, we are hoping to Forest plus Mox Diamond to get rid of that. We're not like super black intensive with this build. Like we have a decent amount, but most of the time if I fetch one basic, it's going to be the forest. And if you look at the utility lands that are here, like we have Mire and Bog, which are utility black lands already. And we have a couple of non-colored mana producing lands in the deck already, in the forms of Wasteland, Blast Zone, Maze of Ith. So, I don't know. Like, the mana base is definitely tight, I think, with this list when you're also trying to get the Groves in there. I think it's easier to play the basic when you're not playing Punishing Fires. But this eats up a lot of our land slots. All right, let's just kind of jump into it tonight and see how this plays, see if I have any feedback. So this deck doesn't have a companion, obviously. There's not one of those just chilling in the sideboard. But we do have something that's like kind of that same power level for like the Lurrus decks, right? So we have this Punishing Fire engine, which hopefully should like really deal with a lot of what the Lurrus decks can throw at us. It notably doesn't kill Dreadhorde Arcanist, which is a really, really, really big deal. But as far as like the Delvers and the Lurrus itself, the Young Pyromancers, that sort of stuff we've got covered. And we do still have a decent amount of other removal. As a Chalice of the Void deck, we're also not just like dead to an Arcanist getting in an attack or two. So we do have Source of Plowshares in the sideboard for, you know, some matchups where answering the creatures is extremely important. Give me my match. I don't have anything else to say yet. We haven't done anything yet. I've played enough Loam on this channel that like people know what's up. I will say there is a deck list that I'm excited about. Did I bookmark it? I did not bookmark it. Did I download it already? Yes, I did. I saw this deck list from the Legacy Challenge, and I thought it was super hot. So it's a Red Prison deck list that is playing Grim Monolith in the main, which I think is fucking genius, because it lets you 3-drop Colorless card on turn 1 off Ancient Tomb or Mountain plus Chrome Box. So you can go like Ancient Tomb, Monolith, Trinisphere turn 1, which is gross. But maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more later. Yes. Yeah, I want to get Crystalline Giant back on this channel. That was so much fun last night. Yeah, so when I played I think it was the second one, I was like, yeah, we're really gonna play this out and just hope that it gets hexproof, and then it happened, and I lost my fucking mind. Ooh, fine and Andy, you are talking my language, friend. Reapal Cheap, I don't know that we're actually a very good Field of the Dead deck. We have a lot of lands that have the same names. Like, we have 3 groves, multiple of the same fetch land, I think multiple of the same dual lands. I think it's actually going to be very hard to get that to work a lot of the time. Cabal Therapy target themselves. Okay. So we are playing against Reanimator, and they have a Grizzlebrand in the graveyard and the ability to get it. That's very bad for us given this hand. So I have a Bojuka Bog and a Caracas as potentially my best draws. A Chalice on 1 isn't good enough. Maze of Ith is okay. Alright, so which land do I want? I need green. I'm going to cycle Thicket. Is there anything I need to play towards? Probably not. I have a second fetch land. I guess Mox Diamond plus Ooze as my 2 draws is pretty good. Alright, those are not necessarily the draws that I'm looking for. The good news is that I'm not going to, like, just die immediately. I don't need to take all of those lands. I'm just going to be discarding some of them. I just discarded the second Loam here, actually. That's sort of interesting. 3, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, let's discard the second Loam. So I could just discard like a Knight, so that if they end up exhuming later on... Oh boy. Just another Grizzlebrand. That seems very strange to me. That seems very strange to me. Oh man, they're gonna reanimate my Clothis? Oh no. They sure did. Which I really don't understand. It seems like getting a Chancellor is pretty clutch there. We are not going to be dredging life from the Loam. Abrupt Decay, huh? Probably not great. no dredge. Yikes. Okay. So we're going to get Abrupt Decay on an Animate Dead, which probably gets my Knight? Question mark? I think that's better than just hitting the pedal. Oh, okay. So it's an enchant creature, and when Clothis enters play, it ceases to be a creature, and so Animate Dead falls off. Alright, that's cool as fuck. Okay, so the real question now is, do I actually get this Lotus Petal here? I think I'm going to. I think I'm probably like 85+% dead. But things happen sometimes. I also really don't know if my opponent should be drawing cards with Grizzlebrand. Like, I've shown them red, so Punishing Fire very much should be on their radar. I can do direct damage. So I guess the upside of drawing 7 and going to 4 is that you could potentially put another creature into play and then have me dead next turn. Yo, Exhume. That gets Caracas. Oh, there was an Ashen Rider in there. Okay. That must have gone in there off the Faithless Looting. I wasn't paying attention. No. Yo. That's amazing. We are definitely not dead now. Faithless Looting has been flashed back already. I'm going to get my F6 value and just bounce that sucker now. If I was playing a White Chalice Brew, would it be good against control? Maybe? Depends on what your endgame card advantage engine is. Ha ha! Your Unmask does nothing. We're on a 1-turn clock to this Ashen Rider, though. So, like, that's a definite problem. So, my opponent is probably going to get a Chancellor. And I am probably going to get a Knight. My Knight gets a Maze of Ith. And that answers one of these two. Why? Why? I have Caracas! I have Caracas! Are you just going to Cabal Therapy away your Ashen Rider or Grizzlebrand? Or no, like, you can Cabal Therapy away your Ashen Rider to get rid of my Caracas, and then Knight of the Reliquary beats Grizzlebrand? No loam here. Oh, there is justice in the world. All right. Always yes. Always yield. Yes. No. No. Top that. Top that. Land. Let's fetch that away. We'll want to be getting green sources. I'm probably just going to get the forest here. And I'll eat that. No, I'll get the scrubland. And then I can have more green open for later. And I'll like rotate away the scrubland. I did not deserve this win. Yeah, you can flashback that faithless looting. I don't mind that. Don't I just have the win already? I just attack with both of my creatures, whichever one my opponent blocks with Grizzlebrand, I maze it, and they're dead on board. I don't even need to draw anything. Alright, so that was super cool. Alright, Leyline of the Void. Definitely yes. Thalia, I think we're still doing that. Containment Priest, seems good. Swords, probably good enough. We probably don't go Vindicate levels of deep. We do. Okay. Let's figure out what I want to take out. Abrupt Decay is not excellent. Probably cut Blast Zone. Punishing Fire, not really at its best. I would need one more cut. Oh, yeah, Kroxa is very actively bad. Alright, so we trim Decay rather than cut Decay and cut the Loams. Yeah, I can see that. Okay, so my gut feeling was pretty close there. Can't justify bringing in my lady friend for this matchup. The 6-mana card. I'm keeping this and you can't stop me, chat. You absolutely cannot stop me from keeping this hand. Okay, that's really interesting. So I can either cycle this land to try to hit Priest on curve, or I can just play this tap to play Library on 2, which is also pretty likely to fix my mana. I think it's Thicket tapped. Like, guarantee the filtering and make them also have the Reverent Silence. Or Serenity, I guess. That's not mana to cast Serenity. Oh, these are the good Faithless Lootings. I like the ones that send the cards directly to the Shadow Realm. Oh, nice. The Ashen Rider is gone. Okay. That should be bye-bye Sylvan Library, in my opinion. But I can totally see them taking Containment Priest. Tiny thing. I could have considered playing Maze of Ith this turn to play around my opponent somehow destroying ley lines plus them having Sire of Insanity, but that seems like a stretch to me. Beautiful. I'm not going to be hard casting this Vindicate to just blow up one of their lands. I know that I can take them off of like white for Serenity, but there's worlds where they just like hard cast something stupid, and I will want to have this Vindicate available to kill it. Because like Dark Ritual, Grizzlebrand, or something like that is like very much something that can happen. So I think this Chalice goes on 1. It shuts off my Source of Plowshares, but that seems fine. It's one more thing that would get swept up in a Serenity, unfortunately. And I guess I could be untapping my Containment Priest, but that doesn't seem super relevant. I actually can't decay their Serenity. I don't have black mana yet. Okay, there we go. So since I Chalice on 1, we don't get to Source of Plowshares that. We can Vindicate it eventually, though. This has been a rough series of draws, all things considered. This feels bad. I feel like we're dead. I've been hoisted by my own petard. This doesn't do anything, right? Nope. So I can pay 4 so I can Vindicate the Titan and then I'll just die to zombies. Pay 8 life, go out on your own terms. I like that, actually. I like that a lot. I think I'm going to keep the sideboarding the same. So Blast Zone enters with 1 counter on it already, just in case you're not super familiar with Blast Zone. So we can't use those to like sweep zombies if that same thing were to just happen again. Yes, I would like to play first. Yeah, we're going to keep this hand. Hand's actually kind of interesting. In that whether or not I play Chalice out on turn 1 on 0 is super interesting. Because if my opponent Thoughtseizes me on turn 1 and I play Chalice on 0, then they take my Bob and I kind of have nothing. So I'm really not sure if I'm supposed to Chalice on 0. I don't really want to Chalice on 1 this game because of the Swords of Plowshares that's in my hand. I think I'm going to Chalice on 0, but this is a very strange spot. Like the Bojuka Bog that I'm just going to like play out for no value is also quite strange. Weird play. So this will make a Serenity better. It'll make a Fused Wearshare better. But like they already took 1 mulligan. White for a removal spell for my ley line. Yep. That's fine. I can get Savannah this turn and then Taiga next turn. And be pretty happy with that. We want to get as many green sources into play as possible because the green count for Scavenging Ooze definitely matters in a lot of different scenarios. Wow. Just two different ones, huh? Another Chalice. I'm going to attack her with Bob while I think about this. Okay, so talking chat through what I'm thinking about. Chalice on 1 makes it very hard for them to actually put a creature into the graveyard. But if I cast this Chalice for 1 and they entomb in response, it's super awkward that I just didn't play the Knight of the Reliquary to have access to Caracas. But if I just play Knight of the Reliquary and they have Entomb, then they Entomb for Ashen Rider then in response. And Ashen Rider eats Knight of the Reliquary. Then Swords to Plowshares eats Ashen Rider. Unless I've cast Chalice of the Void, in which case... Yikes. I think I'm supposed to play Knight of the Reliquary and not play Chalice this turn. And then if they don't Entomb in this turn cycle, I probably Chalice on 1 afterwards. But it's pretty weird. Like, Knight giving me access to Caracas or Maze is very strong. It's also a good amount of pressure. So I know they don't have... I know they don't have everything right now. They're at least missing one piece right now. Because if they had everything, they wouldn't have... Oh, maybe that's not true. Because the Chalice was still in play and they played the Lotus Petal. So they don't have Entomb plus Reanimate. They could have Entomb plus 2-mana thing. Do I still want Taiga even though I have Grove now? Probably not. I probably want Bayou now that I have red mana in hand already. This is a tough turn. Ooh. We have 2 decays to answer that. Otherwise, like, we just turn Knight sideways and have them on a 3-turn clock, and that's totally fine. The Chalice of the Void situation is super interesting now. I mean, it already was. Hey, Bob, give me an ooze. A Wasteland and a Mox? That puts a lot of lands into the graveyard. Like, holy crap, that puts a lot of lands into graveyard if I want. So I'm going to cast Mox, and I'm going to pitch this Grove. And then I'm going to play the Wasteland. And I can Chalice on 2 to stop the non-reanimate reanimation spells. I can hit them for 7, which puts them to 9. If I'm willing to not leave up Swords to Plowshares in this turn cycle, I can instead Wasteland, like, say, my Bojuka Bog after Chalice on 2ing and hit them for 7, 8, 9 instead. Hitting them for 9 brings them to 7, which makes it considerably harder to reanimate anything. I think I'm willing to do that. think that's better than leaving a plow. I guess let's attack first. Like, so opponent would now need to cast a big dumb creature, and then I have Swords to Plowshares for it. Reanimate it. I'll respect you. Ah. What a game of Magic. So the Reanimator matchup usually doesn't have that much back and forth. And a lot of times, like, the Loam player just gets skunked, especially in game 1. My opponent took some suboptimal lines in game 1 that let us steal that game, which was super important because we narrowly lost game 2. That might be one of those games where I might go back and rewatch game 2 to see what I thought of that Chalice on 1 decision. A lot of things lined up for that to be bad. Like, my opponent had the Grave Titan. They had that Petal to cast it. I didn't draw black mana over the course of 2 or 3 draw steps, which was something that punished me because I couldn't Vindicate. And, like, Grave Titan specifically was a creature that could attack through Maze of Ith profitably. So, like, that may have been just a disaster scenario where, like, everything lined up so that Chalice on 1 was the wrong call, but I don't know whether or not it was, like, the wrong call in a vacuum. I don't think I'm going to keep the 7-lander. Am I the play or draw? I'm on the play. Yes? I think we're keeping this. So Kroxa is definitely going to be the most awkward thing here in terms of our mana. So, like, we have white-black, we have red-green, we have early black, but we don't have double colors for Kroxa. But what land I play out on turn 1 is super interesting. I think I'm actually going to lead on Blast Zone, because I think, given this hand, I'm jamming Bob pretty much no matter what, and if my opponent is playing Delver, I don't want one of my colored sources to get wastelanded. Hey, I'm Aqua. Thank you very much for throwing your Twitch Prime support this way this month. I really do appreciate it. Let's tick my sub counter up by 1. Alright, we have drawn a Grove. 100% willing to just, like, start slamming cards into counter magic. I mean, ooh, Snare. I've enjoyed most of the quote-unquote unplayable decks. Alright, so we're probably playing against Bug Delver, so Nimble Mongoose is something that I should keep in mind. Abrupt Decay is also something that I should keep in mind. Bobo! Well. Punishing Fire? Not Punishing Fire. Okay. This is 1 or less, correct? So that doesn't actually deal with Bob. I can play Kaya as a Bob distraction. Otherwise, I play Clothis. I think I want to play Kaya. If I can nug both of these baubles, it really will power down the Lurrus that comes later and distract this Bob from going after my life total in the short term. I don't know that this is going to resolve by any stretch of the imagination. Yep. So I am very scared now because my opponent has Lurrus in the long term that is going to rebuy these baubles, and they're going to get a card a turn with Bob. I have no removal spells in hand, and I don't have a companion to bail me out. Oh, good, it's Dryad Arbor. Okay. I can feed Dryad Arbor to a removal spell and play Clothis not around days. This is a creature spell when I cast it. Yes, okay, so it can't be pierced when it's on the stack. So if I play Clothis around days, Clothis negates the life loss of Bob every turn. Alright, the Goose is loose. Goose is going to be real good against our Grove of the Burn Willows plan. Goodbye, Blast Zone. For what it's worth, I think my opponent should have made their attack first if they're planning on attacking with Bob this turn. Because if the Dryad Arbor wasn't in my hand, I would have fetch for Dryad Arbor. Alright, my opponent did not play around that. Unfortunately, Dryad Arbor is here to hang out with me. Okay, let me reread this. With a land card, get mana, otherwise gain 2 life. Cool. I'm going to start getting those baubles out of there. Is Dryad Arbor better or worse than land? Than Mox Diamond? So, like, as far as my colors go, I'm super good on that. The Dryad Arbor can potentially eat a removal spell. It'd have to be like Fatal Push, not Abrupt Decay. This Mox doesn't feel great. I'm going to play this out and then just pass the turn. So I definitely feel like I am on the wrong side of the advantage bar here. I guess a reason to pitch the Dryad Arbor to just Mox Diamond is to play something like a Green Sun around Spell Pierce more effectively. Ugh. Alright, goodbye, Dryad Arbor. I'll miss you, question mark. Yikes. I'm pretty close to ready to throwing in the towel here. That's very good. Keep trying to get rid of those baubles. Keep coming back. Oh boy. Okay, so that land means that my opponent gets Luris plus bauble this turn. Assuming that they don't have other things to do with their mana. I don't know how much they value keeping up Spell Pierce here. Deck, I require a little bit of cooperation here. Not a lot, but I need something. Alright, so opponent probably had another land there that they're fetching away before Bob, using Delver kind of like a scry. So their Delver should flip next turn. No! Alright. This does not bode well for our heroes. Loam's probably looking pretty solid, though. Like, I can play Loam around Pierce. Yikes. Okay. What does this do? So if I cast this for X equals 2, my opponent Spell Pierces it. And I can still resolve it. If I cast for anything more than X equals 2, it does not resolve. I can cast Mox Diamond, discard Verdant Catacombs, fetch to 8, get Ooze. Delver's flip, I trade with Bob. I take 9 in the air and die. That seems like the most likely series of events. But maybe there's nothing on top that's going to flip the Delver, huh? Wouldn't that be cool? There was nothing that flipped the Delver? Or my opponent doesn't pierce this, so that I can eat the Dryad Arbor out of my yard. Yeah, okay. Should be dead. I am assuming that the Delvers are flipping after that cantrip. We got more game out of that than I expected, though. So you're telling me there's a chance. There's not a chance. All right, Klothys did a lot of work in staving off the damage, but we drew a lot of lands that game. All right, so configuration is going to be a little different this time around. I think I probably like Tabernacle to help with Mongoose. I think I like Swords to Plowshares. I think I like Plague Engineer. It can kill a small nimble Mongoose can kill a Delver, and then otherwise trade with things like Tarmogoyf or Big Mongoose. I don't know that I want to go like this level of deep. But that's unclear to me. Connor says Vindicate in. I trust his judgment. Okay. Connor and I have gone back and forth about some of the intricacies of sideboarding in this matchup. So, like, Library is the easy starting part. And then a lot of times I cut one of the tapped cycling lands. We'll probably go with Tranquil Thicket. The Green Sun is bad against the soft permission. And then we've had this conversation about, like, Bobs and Chalices as cards that you cut in these sorts of matchups because, like, both do very different things that are both important. I think I'm going to go with cutting the Bobs here. But this may be a play draw thing as well, where when I'm on the play, I leverage Chalice a little bit better, and when I'm on the draw, I want to be able to deploy Dark Confidant as something that they have to help answer and slow them down to give me a little more time to set up. Chalice is always a little bit weaker versus the bug builds than other builds because they have things like Abrupt Decay or Assassin's Trophy to take the Chalice off the board, so it's not just like, oh, Chalice is in play, GG. Chalice is also awkward when you're bringing in swords, as we saw in round 1. But the power level of all of those cards is such that the non-bow is acceptable. Shove Winds of Abandon into another deck list, are we? Don't mind if I do. Okay, so here's an awkward hand. We're going to cast this Chalice of the Void, and I'm going to assume that it's going to get countered. But the hope is that we go Chalice into Bob. The interesting thing here is what I do with my land. So I'm going to be fetching with this Verdant Catacombs. And I have a basic forest that I can get if I want to play around Wasteland. But getting a basic forest at this stage when I don't have more lands is also super awkward. I think I'm going to be getting the forest. But, like, forest specifically does not cast this Vindicate that's in my hand. So we're going to attempt this play, followed up, yeah, super quick, followed up by a Bob. Pitching the Spell Snare is, like, maybe good for me, or is maybe indicative of there's, like, another snare or a Delver that my opponent wants to play out instead. Land would be hot. Oh, why do you do that to me? I think it's Bob this turn, followed by hoping to get a land off of either Bob or draw so that I can play Swords to Plowshares, followed by Chalice on 1. Nice. But my opponent could just have, like, Abrupt Decay or Push or something like that. Yep. This has been very awkward, this game. And is still continuing to be awkward. I think I'm going to plow this on my turn to not give them a scry off of Delver. That play is a little bit worse against Spell Pierce specifically. Oh yeah, okay. If opponent doesn't have days, this is so good. The question is, can I wait a turn for Chalice reasons? There's 4 cards in graveyard right now. Polluted Delta makes 5. Cantrip plus like land would make 7. Oh, this game has been so awkward. All right. So the decision wasn't forced for me by my opponent having Stifle. So now I need to think about what land I want. I have Abrupt Decay covered. I don't have Kaya covered. I don't have Vindicate covered. I don't have Kroxa covered. I have Knight covered. Scrubland gives me access to black and white and Kroxa. I really don't want to lose the opportunity to kill this Mongoose with Plague Engineer for like 100% guaranteed value. So I'm going to attempt to like make my trade here, and then if I trade with something like a push afterwards, I don't super care. The Wasteland was pretty rough there. The Wasteland means that I can't just Vindicate the Lurrus. But I can Punishing Fire it. Please die. Fuck. Alright, now our hand is forced. We need to Chalice on 0 so that my opponent can't keep redeploying Baubles. Super awkwardly. My opponent has 9 cards in graveyard, so if they cast Nimble Mongoose, they still have 8 cards in graveyard, meaning that... Oh shit, I don't think they see it. Okay. So pre-combat, they could have fetched and played a Mongoose from the graveyard. I don't want them to realize that they can do that post-combat. So even though this play probably means that they have Tarmogoyf or Mongoose in hand, I should probably just take this trade. So if I resolve this Knight of the Reliquary, we're in pretty good shape. Our Chalice of the Void is not good, and I don't think I have the luxury of trying to play this knight around days. Nice. See if this just gets decayed. Nope. You have made my little man bigger. Yeah, I think I'm just turning sideways. I could take a turn to like get my Mazavith or something, but that means I can't cast this Abrupt Decay then. I could Bog. Bogging turns the Mongoose into a 1/1. I have my opponent on a 3-turn clock. They're not close to that as of right now. And I have an answer to like a Tarmogoyf. Yeah, we're turning sideways here. Nice. Again, my opponent dies before we do, so we're just going to turn this creature sideways. We're not going to like use this knight to play the ooze around anything. Alright, we're going to get a couple of those chalices out of the deck. Whoop. Bobs, get back in here. My opponent's converted mana costs are really varied. So, like, I care about 0s, 1s, and 2s in their deck. And that mitigates a lot of the power of Chalice of the Void. But I'm not sure that any of the cards that are in my sideboard are actually better than Chalice. Thalia is super clunky when I'm trying to efficiently use removal. Sorry, I don't know if I said the right thing there. Thalia seems really clunky when I'm trying to efficiently use removal. Green Sun seems really bad on the draw against their additional disruption. I don't know, like that game was just the story of Chalice of the Void being very awkward. I don't think I'm gonna board out the other two. But like the fact that we drew the Swords to Plowshares meant that like my own lines were very constricted. He used up a lot of clock as well, that match. Like, it's not going to matter. We're not going to time out or anything, but it's something to be cognizant of. I'm not going to risk this one, despite how absolutely crazy this hand is if I get a single land. Like, these three things are incredible tools. But we really need to hit the land on our first draw. Yeah, if I thought we could miss a land drop for 1 or 2 turns and still win that game, I would have kept that first hand, but I just don't think that's the case. And even if we do hit the first land, we still need more lands with that opener. And if for some reason my opponent like pierces the diamond and I'm left with like Bojuka Bog as an ETB tapped land against Delver, like, yeah. Alright, my opponent has mulligan to 5, and I will join them. The quote-unquote mirror breaker there being the fact that they have a companion hanging out. This is a pretty good 5. This is 100% a pitch. And then we pitch one of either Bog or Knight. I think I pitch Bog and hope to just draw a third land to cast the Knight at some point. I see. Alright, we have Abrupt Decay for that, and I'm super happy about that. I'm going to lose a land to Wasteland here. So fetching Forest doesn't make a lot of sense. Can I fetch in a way that leaves me with white while also giving me access to green-black this turn? Savannah Scrubland would do that. Or... yeah, Savannah Scrubland would do that. The goose is loose. We have an answer to the goose, assuming that it sticks around. Oh, man. Oh, man. So if you're not familiar with Blast Zone, it does cost 3 and tap to sacrifice that. So as soon as I hit one more land, I can Blast Zone them away. Accordingly, I don't believe that it is correct to take out their Tropical Island. Even though I have 3 mana, I cannot cast Knight this turn. So we're just going to be passing the turn here, hoping to spike a land and dodge a Wasteland from our opponent. There's also a world where my opponent just has a Stifle in hand. Yeah, that's fine. Perfect mana. Wow. I'm so surprised that our Blast Zone did not get Wastelanded here. Wow. Like, this sets me up for the potential 3-for-1. Eric, thank you very much for the host. Dang it! Alright, so we're in Game 3 versus Bug Delver. And that is not what I needed. I might need to wasteland their wasteland. That doesn't feel good when, like, Blast Zone is the plan. And, like, I'm going to need to hit more land drops. But the Mongoose are not a lot of pressure, and Knight of the Reliquary represents a blocker. Not a very good blocker. Not a very good attacker either. Okay. Let's try to cast the Mox Diamond. Yeah, that's fine. So the Spell Bomb represents a 5th card in the graveyard at any point. This is card 6. They don't have a Ponder, or they would have just made that card 7 here. So here's the same awkward thing that we're seeing as before, where like I have Chalice and Plow at the same time. Yeah, Loam's great. Long-time fan of Loam. I think my opponent probably just cashes in the Spell Bomb here. Yep. Decay my Chalice or decay my Mox. Yep. This probably means we're dead. GG's. Things did not break our way there. Let's switch back to the deck list here. Okay, so now everyone who joined me from Eric's channel. Hi, my name's Phil Gallagher. I run ThrabenU University, and today we are playing with a red Loam deck list that feels pretty good. We're currently 1-1 going into round 3, but deck list feels fine. We definitely had an awkward round there, primarily focused around our Chalice of the Voids. We don't really have the luxury of boarding all of them out. No companion from our opponent. And this is a strange hand. So this is very land heavy, but there's an asterisk there in that 2 of these are cyclers that are going to grow our Knight of the Reliquary very quickly and will replace themselves with some other cards. I believe this is still a keep. Punishing Fire kills a lot of the stuff that's in the Luris decks. Well, at least in the blue-white-red Luris decks. It's definitely a little worse against the Bug Luris decks, because it doesn't always kill Tarmogoyf, and it doesn't kill Mongoose. I'm going to go Scrubland, pass, cycle Barrenmoor. It's more likely that I'll want to play Tranquil Thicket tapped than I will want to play Barrenmoor tapped. I don't know that I'll actually end up playing either one of those lands at all this game. it's much more likely that I just cycle them. But we'll see. Oh man, are we just playing against Black Red Reanimator again? Like, I got that first one by the skin of my teeth. Oh, okay. That's fine. Goblins! Okay, our hand is not good. Chalice of the Void isn't great against goblins. Like, it's basically only going to do something if my opponent has another Ether Vial. Because otherwise they just, like, put in whatever 1-drops they have. So... I don't know that I even want to play it this turn. It's possible that just cycling my Tranquil Thicket is better. Increase the size of the knight, make it less likely that it is going to die to the red-black removal goblin. Say if I'm punished by my opponent going like Skirt Prospector or something like that. Yeah, I'm just going to cycle my land this turn. Mr. Parker, I've heard some good things about lands in the current metagame. I forgot their username. I want to say it's like Keller or something or other has been playing a decent amount of lands to some success. And people have been messing with Jagartha, Gigantha. Library's okay. To some success. Okay, if I fetch here, the knight is a 5/5 and pretty unlikely to be killed by the removal that my opponent has. And I'll have a chump blocker, or not a chump blocker, an actual blocker for Goblet Lackey. Hold up, my opponent left their Violet 1? Interesting. Yeah, I've seen Yorian goblins. I've also seen Loris goblins. So I can wasteland my opponent's cavern and play Clothis. I could tap my knight and just ramp for mana and play Clothis and Library, but if I expose myself to an attack, that makes the Library worse, so I kind of want to hold the knight defensively. I'm just weirded out by this like Vial staying on 1 when they didn't put anything in play. Maybe they have Lackey and they want me to attack in with Knight. Like, I'll take 1 by them chump blocking, and then they maybe get to hit me with Knight. Alright, I played my land. Yeah, let's hold the knight back defensively. I don't think we're going anywhere fast in terms of closing out this matchup. I don't just have... Maybe it was straight up a misclick last turn. I don't just have something like Tabernacle in game 1 to just really hose my opponent. I believe this is just going to get a fetch land and filter. I don't think I'm to the point where I want any of my utility lands yet. Like, I don't need Cabal Pit yet. I don't need Blast Zone yet. Blast Zone getting rid of the Vial is interesting. Maybe Blast Zone getting rid of Vial is good enough. Take myself off of white by doing that now. No, I don't think I'm going to do that. Oh, yeah. So my opponent doesn't have a Vial on 3, so they don't just get to save their creature, which is super good for me. My opponent gets to pink me with the Pashalik Mons. I'm going to have Knight rebuy Punishing Fire, and I can Punishing Fire again immediately if I just play Verdant Catacombs and I don't play Chalice or Library this turn. I kind of feel like I have everything that I need. Like, I crop rotate Taiga into Grove, then have Grove Punishing Fire for whatever creature that my opponent puts in, and then I start turning the Knight sideways. Alright, you have a Goblin Matron. I accept. What sort of shenanigans do you have for me? Okay. Probably gets to generate a billion chump blockers. I believe I still have Badlands that produces red. I do. I'm not turning sideways because if I turn sideways, Mogwar Marshal just gets in the way and it's kind of awkward for me. I think the Sylvan Library is now worth playing. And I'm going to go ahead and preemptively return the Punishing Fire to my hand. Yeah, like a Trash Master or something cool. A Ringleader. That's pretty strong. Chain Whirler and Crater Maker. Alright, I don't super care about any of these right now. We're on a slow grindy game here. I don't think I need to Knight for anything. I can get rid of my Forest to Blast Zone away the Ether Vial now that I know my opponent's kind of stuck on mana. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I think I'm going to go ahead and sack the Forest to just give myself the option to do it. Always yes, always yield. Maze of Ith, Cabal Pit, Kaya? Kaya just kills Vial too as well, right? Yeah, just exiles the Vial. That's sweet. So I have 3 for Kaya. I'll play a land. So like Maze of Ith can go on top. I'll pay for this. So I can like effectively make my land drop. Quick color check. So this is 1, 2, 3. This is or I guess 1, 2, 3. This is Punishing Fire. 1, 2, 3. This is Kaya. Kaya can also eat a goblin every turn. Again, let's proactively return this. So now we are whittling down our opponent. They can suicide a bunch of stuff in to Kaya to kill it. But if they do so, they threaten to just be dead to Knight of the Reliquary. And beginning next turn, I'll start attacking with Knight using the Maze of Ith that's on top of my library. Alright, Kaya's very dead. That's fine. That's what time it is, huh? Okay. Knight will go ahead and block one of those. Okay. I'm still just going to kill the larger creature here, rather than save 1 extra point of damage. Opponent is very much respecting my Sylvan library here with the actions that they're taking. Alright. So we let damage happen, and then after damage, we go ahead and untap our Knight. Second main phase, we have Return Punishing Fire, Cast Punishing Fire. I can go ahead and play an Ether Vial as well. And that doesn't really cost me anything. Or not Ether Vial, Chalice of the Void. I already played a land. I played the Maze of Ith. Strong. I didn't math this out to make sure that I have all the mana that I want, but I think I'm fine. Sure. Alright. So now we have Punishing Fire, one of their creatures, followed by Punishing Fire, another one of their creatures, followed by They Are Dead. If they play another creature, we throw a Cabal Pit into the mix to be a little bit spicy. Oh, you jerk, you killed my Bob. I don't want any of this. Alright, board's clear. We can kill any creature that they play next turn. 1 mana short of getting the kill this turn if I had 1 more mana. I have Cabal Pit for getting the last creature out of the way and representing lethal. That's fine. Yes, it should be very rare that we actually turn on Clothis, maybe even impossible. I guess in the post-sideboard games where you have Chandra, there's like a slightly better chance of it happening, but it's still pretty questionable. Alright, Tabernacle's gonna be good. Oof is probably good enough. Chandra's probably good enough. Swords is probably fine. Containment Priest is probably fine. Vindicate, Plague Engineer are probably fine. So Chalice of the Void, very, very, very bad in the matchup. Sylvan Library, while it was okay that game, is probably not going to be particularly great in a lot of cases. So I see myself probably want to trim that. Let's do this way. I see Croxa being awkward. I can see myself cutting the Bog pretty easily. That's 7 of 9 if I board in all of these. I could trim Croxa, I could trim Loam. Is Croxa trample? Croxa tramples, I like it better. It does not trample, but it still forces damage through the trigger. I guess that's okay. We do still need ways to break parity. So, like, Punishing Fire is one of those, but that gets disrupted by Wasteland. Arkan, thank you very much for hosting. Hello, everyone. I'm Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU. We are playing 4-color Loam versus Goblins, and we are currently up a game. Yeah, the upside of flipping Chandra to Bob, though, is that you have a Bob and a Chandra. You just don't have life. I'm going to junk these. I am going to trim a Bob, and then I'm not sure about the last card. It's possible that, like, I'm focusing too much on the vials with Priest and Oof and Kaya. And that I should cut one of these. 61 special. Thank you, Arkan. I hope you had a great stream. Hand here is interesting. Good against an early lackey with Maze. I have a turn 2 Bob otherwise if my opponent doesn't lackey. This Dryad Arbor that's in my hand is dead. The Blaststone that's in my hand is kind of okay. I think this hand is clunky, but I'm going to keep it. My opponent also has Mulligan, which makes the keep a little bit better. I'm going to go ahead and go Bayou Pass here with the intention of cycling Tranquil Thicket. I don't know how many Munitions Expert my opponent is going to have in post-board. And how many of those my opponent has influences how good my Bobs actually are. Ooh, second Vial. That makes my Blast Zone better. Ooh. Yes! I don't think I want to share the Blast Zone yet. But I maybe also don't want to expose this to other mana denial. Like, this guarantees that I have, like, say, a necessary color on my turn later. So I will go ahead and show the Blast Zone to play Bob this turn. I would say my current position is favored, but not by a lot. My opponent's port is going to do a lot of work. In mitigating the advantage that my Bob is giving me. So we can upkeep Decay next turn. That's fine. I don't think I want to attack Bob into Mog War Marshal, so we'll go ahead and pass here. We will be hoping to draw another card. Oh, wow. Surprising. We'll be hoping to draw another card off Bob that allows us to make our next land drop and then play Plague Engineer. Okay, that's fine. Bob has already drawn us another card. It has replaced itself. Anything from here is just upside. Alright, opponent might just be going for full, like, 4 mana cast Ringleader here and just stop the port plan. Yep, okay. That is exactly what has happened. Our opponent gets a Mog War Marshal for their trouble. Alright, so I have 3 mana for my Plague Engineer, plus I get to play one of Dryad Arbor or Maze of Ith this turn. And I think I will play the Plague Engineer just to soak up some damage. The opponent only has 1 card other than the Mog War Marshal available to them. I will be off one of my colors here, I think. I can't get red and white in the same land, so I'm probably going to choose white here. Off Savannah. We're going to name Goblin, and then I'm going to opt to play out the Maze of Ith. It might mean that some of my mana sources get ported down, but it stops the Chain Whirler attack. And I think dragging this game on is going to favor me, as long as my Plague Engineer doesn't get removed. Yeah, this list is super cool. Nice, no Lord shenanigans mid-combat that make me think. What my opponent ports here is actually super interesting, because they can port the Blast Zone to protect their vials, or they can port down one of my colored sources to limit my options. That's fine. I don't think I want to decay anything on this board. Gonna be a slow game again. I can't F6 through my opponent's turns due to my Maze of Ith. I'm unlikely to die to my own Bob. I have 3 different life gain cards in my hand. I'm not sure whether or not I'm supposed to blast stone away the vials if it makes it to my upkeep and my opponent ports me. Okay, that's pretty good. Alright, so that means that a whole bunch of goblins have died, so my opponent gets to ping my stuff. Super sweet play. I think that's... okay, I was going to say. That was definitely not a line that I was playing around. Alright, so now I probably don't get to remove the vials. I'm going to have to use my mana to help stabilize the board. Hello and welcome. This is game 2, and we are paired against goblins. Game 1 was a real grind fest. We came out ahead, it just took a lot of our clock. Super awkwardly, if I kill Pashalik Mons, they take my Dryad Arbor down with it. Oh no. Am I dead? Each one of these sacrifices represents 2 damage, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Or I guess that's not the case, right? So like this one represents 2, and this one represents 2, and the last one represents 1. All right. Yeesh. Well, was not expecting to be dead. I had a Plague Engineer in play at the beginning of that turn. Ha! I think I'm going to keep my sideboarding the same. I need to be cognizant of that combo moving forward. Good against Lackey, bad against Vile unless I draw a land, but I think I'm going to keep this anyway. This is like definitely a borderline hand. my opponent was pretty aggressive in getting non-basics last time around. So, like, my wastelands may have actual text on them. I don't know. I don't feel great about this keep. I think this is an example of a hand with enough good draws available to it that I shouldn't throw it back. Like, a black land makes his hand considerably better. Another threat like Knight of the Reliquary makes his hand considerably better. A library makes his hand considerably better. Like, with so many different draws that improve this. It's also possible I should have played Grove of the Burn Willows there in case my opponent leads on turn 1 Vial, so I can spike Black Source and not telegraph Source of Plowshares quite as hard. Okay. The hope was that opponent fetched a bad lands there that I could wasteland. Alright, we can wasteland that. Would I be willing to use a Source of Plowshares on a Mog War Marshal if my opponent double blocked? No, I would not. So we'll just pass the turn and eat the Mog War Marshal on my opponent's upkeep. And we want to grow our ooze as quickly as possible to help play around the damage-based removal that my opponent can have in their deck. I think I want to start attacking, so I'm going to use my mana efficiently and just remove Goblin Lackey. My opponent has missed a land drop here, and I've wastelanded them off mana, and I want to try to press that advantage as hard as I can. Nice. Alright, so we are representing Punishing Fire and Abrupt Decay by passing the turn. Badlands here seems fine. Nope, JK. That was a Windswept Heath, so Taiga is okay. Taiga would take me off of Abrupt Decay. I'm fine with that, though. Like, the more green gives us access to Scavenging Ooze mana, and just rebuying Punishing Fire immediately. Always yield to this for time reasons. Ooh, a Surgical Extraction. Well, that makes my fetch look worse. Bob's a good guy. Cool. So Knight's a 4/4 currently. I'm going to play Wasteland and Knight this turn. I'm going to finish my thought here so that I can play Knight around Pyrokinesis. Do I want to eat one more card from their graveyard for any reason? No, I'd rather hold up the Wasteland. So Knight represents a Tabernacle, which will be absolutely devastating to my opponent, as well as just like a damage and Wasteland machine. Do I even want to attack this turn? I do because of Maze. Alright, so Knight will fetch away my Taiga, I guess, for fetch plus a black source. No, probably fetch plus forest. Let's just turn it into a fetch line for now and not think about it. I can make the decision later after I've taken a draw. Black source. Let's play good magic. Stay tight here. We're very likely to win, but I should not get sloppy. My opponent has given me the GG. I don't think I'm going to play another card here. I forgot to Maze my Knight, but we're done. Literally any card that my opponent plays, I just abrupt decay and they're dead to board. Whew! We've had some slogfest of matches here. Folks, I'm going to take a second, just get up and stretch, kind of clear my head a little bit before I go into the next one. I will be right back. Whew. All right, I'm back, folks. I hope you are enjoying this. Matches have been very interesting tonight. Uh, Big Grindfest versus Goblins, where Punishing Fire was looking pretty hot. Kudos to my opponent for really pulling together a kill in game 2 there. Winning through Plague Engineer was impressive. Pashalik Mons really came in clutch. Kaya was interesting in that round. Eating Ether Vials was cool, but Kaya seems really bad once you're behind on board against a lot of decks. Like if your opponent has, you know, a Tarmogoyf on board or something like that, and it's like a 4/5 or something. Even if you Kaya and shrink it a little bit, like it's possible that Kaya still takes lethal damage or close to it. And like against goblins, it was really hard to play this on a board when I was behind. But I'm very interested in the card. This one's going to be a pass from me. We only have one land. Opponent has mulliganed, no companions on either side. Hey, we're going to go to 5 here. I think I have to keep this hand and hope to spike a land. We have 2 mana, technically. Like, we go Black Simon, pitch Wasteland, Green Sun for Dryad Arbor. So I think this is a keep. We pitch this, and we hope to get there off of Bob's. But this is super sketch. Oh god, especially against a blue deck. Please counter this. Counter it and let me play another. Alright. Operation Bob has slowed down a little bit, and I'm definitely spooked because my opponent can just play something like Young Pyromancer or Sprite Dragon, and I'm in trouble. We definitely knew that this was a possibility once I kept this 5-card hand. Oh yeah, I'm 100% not surprised to see Daze from our opponent. And my opponent has just topped 2 cards with Pyromancer. So they're going to have more cantrips or counterspells for me. So that's not good. Yeah, I agree with the aggro bolt. That bolt is probably worth 4 to 6 points of damage due to the extra elemental that's made here. Alright. GG. Bob not looking good anymore. I'd probably snap counter that if I had the opportunity to and I was the opponent. Loam has so many lands that don't actually cast the spells that you want to. Alright. We're done. We're done. Move on. Alright, what do we have for Blue-Red Delver? Source to Plowshares seems good. Tabernacle seems good. This is probably questionable. This is probably fine. This is probably good. I can consider Thalia, but it's probably not where I want to be due to punishing fire recursion. So I'm not going to want library here. I am probably going to cut a land of some nature. Bojuka Bog, for example, seems like something that's fine to cut. I will probably cut either one or both life from the Loams. I will cut the Green Sun. Croxa seems really mana intensive to try and make happen. Maybe I'll take that out as well. That would give me 6 for 6 with the awkward Swords to Plowshares Chalice situation coming up again. Which I think I'm okay with. Like, I definitely want the Source of Plowshares because Sprite Dragon can get out of punishing fire range pretty quickly. I'm going to keep this hand. And then it's, like, super interesting what I do with it. So I think I Mox Diamond and pitch the Blast Zone. I think it's my least valuable thing here. And then it's like, how do I jam Bob? Do I jam Bob by playing Mox Diamond and pitching Tabernacle, or do I save the Tabernacle for later? Because it's such a good counter to what my opponent is doing. I kind of want to play Mox Diamond, Jonking Grove, and pitch Bob, but it's possible I should just play the Grove, play Bob, and then keep this for in case I need to pitch the Tabernacle to make a land drop. This would expose me to Wasteland, but I think I'm good with that. This Bob probably doesn't live. My opponent's playing a lot of Bolt effects, and even if they boarded some out, if they didn't counter this, it's pretty likely that it just gets removed. Ooh, no! Alright, so again, we're kind of in the same position as last turn. I'm going to offer a trade. No, I'm not going to offer a trade. I think I would like to play this Chalice around Days. I think that's valuable. And then the question is, how valuable is this Tabernacle? I have one Loam, so that I can get it back. I don't want to stare at this Tabernacle in my hand all game. It's very punishing if my opponent plays a True Name Nemesis and I don't have access to it. But if they already have a basic in play, it's definitely harder for them to just make the game spiral out of control. Alright, there's a Bolt. We have protected our Bob from that, at least in the short term. We could see something like a Braid on Chalice followed by Bolt on Bob. I'm pretty likely to just protect my life total in the next turn cycle and Abrupt Decay, the Delver, another Knight, and an Ooze. That's pretty good. I definitely want to remove the Delver rather than play out another threat. Yup. I think since I'm like 100% to do this, I'm just going to go ahead and do it now. I don't want to get got by like some random misdirection type effect. That's fine. I'm going to offer to trade my Bob for this Delver. Never mind. I don't think I'm going to play Ooze around double days. I think I'm just going to like play this and make it look like I don't necessarily have access to 2 more green. That way, if my opponent just has Bolt, they're slightly more likely to just let it resolve. And then I get to double eat. I'm not sure that I clicked on the right thing there. Delver, green. Bob, green. All right, so now we have a life gain source that is immune to Bolt. Ooh, interesting. So opponent could trade Delver plus something else, like Delver plus Bolt for my Ooze. I think I'm pretty likely to be doing this turn no matter what, so we're going to do this in the first main phase. And then play Knight in second main. We play Knight around days while leaving up 1 Scavenging Ooze Eat. Seems okay to me. The reason to play Knight in first main, though, and now that my opponent doesn't have any mana floating, is that if it gets countered, I can eat it with Ooze. So, JK, I'm a liar. We're going to do this first main. Yes, I will 100% pay for that. You can daze it again, but then you have no lands in play. And I have another Knight coming down next turn. I'm good with that trade. It's like trading Knight for Force of Will and bouncing 2 of my opponent's lands. Totally good with that. Alright, my opponent has a Pierce, which is not going to be good at this stage of the game. I can play a lot of my stuff around it. Knight is also out of Lightning Bolt range, luckily. Scariest thing my opponent can do is just play another Delver. Oh, that's a feel bad. I don't know that they are supposed to board in Surgical Extraction. So no creatures in graveyard, no creatures in graveyard. Let's put a creature in graveyard. So, like, what is my opponent planning on surgicaling? Is that just there almost purely because of Sprite Dragon? and it's just like a free spell that my opponent can aggro out that like at least somewhat disrupts me. Because I would think that my opponent's not super scared of the Light from the Loam package, given how many basic lands they have. I don't think I'm going to board in the Thalias or anything, and I think Chandra is way too slow. Yeah, I guess punishing fire is fair. Hendrik, thank you very much for following. Yeah. My mana's super bad with this hand. I get turn 2 Chalice, but I'm exposed to Wasteland. I have cards that matter in the matchup. Reluctant keep. I have like 26 lands to hit plus Mox. That would be good. My opponent's not on a very aggro start. I have time to draw out of this clunkiness, and then I just have like so much endgame gas. But for keeping this hand, I very much might just die to a Wasteland. Otherwise, my sequence is attempt Chalice on 1, followed by attempt Scavenging Ooze. Or maybe vice versa now. Hard to tell. Scavenging Ooze is worse against Bolt. Chalice of the Void is worse against Counter Magic. I think I want to go for the higher upside play first. Because if this resolves, then like Ooze and Plague Engineer are safe from the Bolt effects. And that's very good for me. Whereas if I like say Scavenging Ooze next turn, I can hold up eating something out of my opponent's graveyard. I am missing white mana. I am missing black mana. Pretty far off from casting Kaya specifically because it would require me to have 2 land drops that I don't currently have. I'm 1 land drop away from the other non-Scavenging Ooze cards. Really just don't want opponent to play another creature this turn. Specifically, another 2-drop creature would be the worst. Yeah. Okay. So this is a human shaman. This is a zombie wizard. How do I want to play my turn? I will be fetching Scrubland with Windswept Heath. That much I know. I need 1 more land in graveyard before night is safe. I can just jam the Plague Engineer into this and probably lose it to a Lightning Bolt, which isn't the best. Alternatively, I can just lose Knight of the Reliquary to a Lightning Bolt, but that seems loose, given that I'm just like 1 fetch land away from stalling their board out. Let's attempt Engineer. I don't think it's going to resolve or otherwise live, but we'll see. So Knight getting Tabernacle is going to be very good for me. Very, very good. So his Arcanist has now cantripped twice. I think if I brick on a draw, this game is likely out of reach. Like, fetch land would be fine. I don't have Deluge in this build. I want to stop them my draw steps. They have Surgical Extraction. Alright, they've Surgical the 2 of here, so I'm okay with that. I think this is the point where I just have to hope that they don't have a Bolt, and I just have to play to Tabernacle. Rough. So we're taking 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 there. So I'm fine with just conceding the game, because I'll still die to their board if I play Tabernacle out, if I were to rip it off the top. I mean, the hand was borderline. I said that when I kept it. I don't regret keeping it. We have mulliganed a lot of hands tonight. So I guess we're hoping our opponent is playing a Luris variant that Wasteland is good against and keeping this hand. We'll bottom a fetch. Oh no, I didn't take that as rude. So we'll discard Maze to that. We'll Mox Diamond. Discard Wasteland to that. We'll play Windswept Heath. We don't need to fetch. Oh no, we can fetch. We'll pick a land totally at random because like our mana's very good here. So if Wasteland is good against our opponent because they're on a pile of non-basics, great. But if they just like fetch into basic island, yikes. Nice. Yeah, sure. I will let that Delver hit me a few times and destroy all of your lands. I'll take a live draw this turn since I'm just wastelanding them. Super nice. Yeah, that's 100% a force of will target. So we'll take a live draw this turn as well because I'm probably just playing Mazavith on my turn. It's different if they like play a non-basic land on their main phase. Nice. Let's cast the Bob first and not give them information about the Maze of Ith before I play this. Alright, we have a force of negation to be thinking about in the long term. We have Delver in check due to Maze. We have Luris in check due to Wasteland. Life's pretty good. Like, we don't even care if the Bob dies. Opponent playing a scary 2-drop creature here could be a problem, like a young Pyromancer. Gonna keep me honest? You're not gonna keep me honest. Abrupt Decay would be hot. Chalice is great. 100% will dredge life from the Loam here. Hitting Punishing Fire is super cool. I think I'm just supposed to Chalice of the Void and then cast Life from the Loam and not Wasteland them this turn. Although that could let Luris slip into play. They have this Force of Negation, which is really interesting because it exiles. So which one of these is the bait for the other one to resolve? So if I cast Life from the Loam, they almost certainly force it. If I cast Chalice of the Void, they probably also force that. So this is super cool. I think the Chalice is more valuable, and I'm going to lead with the Life from the Loam. If this resolves, I just Wasteland their blue source. Oh yeah, they also know about the Chalice due to Dark Confidant. This situation is even more interesting than I thought. Alright, so they've pitched a Delver of Secrets. Don't let your last card be Daze. It's pretty savage if your last card is Daze. Just throwing it out there. Nice. My opponent gets to attack for 1 each turn, as of right now. But I imagine I'll take the game over pretty quickly. I have 6 cards in Graveyard. Yes, I play another one of those. That's weird. If I play this, I would double block Arcanist if they attacked with it. Trade with me. They did not trade with me. I don't know if I'm supposed to play the second Bob. I could even just treat the second Bob as 1 life and block with it here. Six cards in graveyard. Those were some painful Bobs. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I can not tap Cabal Pit if I don't want to. I can also kill my own Bobs pretty much at any point in a number of different ways. I think I'm going to send those in and just like offer my opponent trades with Bobs. Actually, maybe I kill the Arcanist, because that's just free. I see myself Cabal pitting a Bob on my opponent's turn to just go down to 1 Bob, and then I'll play a Knight the following turn. I think I've got this game pretty much locked up unless I just punt it away by killing myself. I'll again continue to offer this trade for Bob. Don't think my opponent will be very keen on taking it. If I had a way to answer their Delver, I would totally just fetch for Dryad Arbor. An opponent is not playing their Luris here, interestingly enough. That may telegraph something. Okay, there's Punishing Fire Grove to get the Delver out of the way. And I have Caracas for their Luris as well. I'm good with that. I think I still offer Bob for Delver, though. Okay, they're just done with me. Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry, that was Badlands double bulk. Alright, cool. So what do we want? Probably want swords. Probably want Plague Engineer, Vindicate, Tabernacle. Probably don't want Library, Croxa, maybe one Cycler, the Green Sun, and what did we do before? Maybe one of Bob Chalice Loam. Loam seems better against this opponent because they don't have basic lands. So the Wasteland Plan is stronger. I think I like something approximating that. Friend, you've sat in the sideboard all league, and I'm sorry. I wanted to play you. I wanted to get paired against big, dirtily control decks and just have you ruin everything. But it was not in the cards tonight. I have nothing else to talk about. Okay, given the power of the previous Life from the Loam opener, I think we keep this one. This is a less powerful Life from the Loam opener, and an opener where we might play Chalice before Life from the Loam. But certainly a keep. So turn 2 Plague Engineer can kill the Delver if I want it to, and it doesn't flip blind. Probably want to play Mox Diamond around Days and not Showgrove. So I think we go Taiga, Mox Diamond, discard Thicket. And we cast a Loam that we either don't care it gets countered, or it's not a big deal if it gets countered. Now next turn we can go for Chalice around Days or Plague Engineer around Force of Negation. Alright, opponent did not flip. That might incentivize us to go for Plague Engineer. Just try to put on Wizard, take out the Delver. Oh, wow. Opponent has shuffled. Did they find another Delver? A Spellbomb. Okay, so they just want to take out this Life from the Loam now. They're not even getting a card out of it, though, and I can't return anything. I don't know how I feel about that exchange. Maybe that exchange makes more sense if they have Loris lurking around the corner. An opponent skipped their attack. Huh. I like playing Chalice around days. But then I can't play Plague Engineer around days later, and Plague Engineer may lose being a removal spell for Delver. Tough turn. If I play Plague Engineer now and I rip a land, I'm more likely to be able to double spell later. Okay, I think I like casting Chalice of the Void. It's super high upside if this resolves. And it also allows me to cycle Tranquil Thicket this turn, meaning my life from the Loam is a little bit better later. I'm just going to cycle this right now, I think. And get my lazy F6 value. Totally happy with seeing Caracas there. That indeed means that I can double spell in my turn or play Plague Engineer while holding up Caracas. Unsure what this takes, honestly. Like, if they have a removal spell, Bob's not scary. If they have a removal spell, Plague Engineer's not scary. Life from the Loam's not super scary. It just gets back a Tranquil Thicket, which is a redraw. But it becomes scary if I find Wasteland. If they take the Loam, I probably don't Loam it back in the next turn cycle. So they can potentially eat it with Lurrus on 4 mana if they have a land this turn and next turn. This is an awkward game now that they know about my Caracas. So they know that playing towards their Lurrus in the short term is worse. Alright, no shuffle there. So this Bob might get Force of Willed, which would be fine because then I have removal spell for Lurrus or Delver. I think I'm fine with Swords to Plowsharing this. I think. Like, just getting that exiled so Lurrus can't bring it back is pretty good. And I have the Caracas to bounce their Lurrus. So the best that they currently have is Lurrus plus Spellbomb Recursion, which is very mana intensive. Yeah, that's fine. That's not unexpected. I would much rather do that than play Loam, I think. The awkward thing is that there's only one land in Graveyard right now. So I would be exposing this to a Bolt. Never mind, I will wait that out. Alright. So now, when I play the Knight, it will be larger than a 3/3. We're going to try to keep either a Life from the Loam or Tranquil Thicket in hand so that I don't lose it to the Lurrus. It's possible on that turn I should have just like not played around Bolt. Ooh, I do not mind that at all. That plus Life from the Loam is very potent. So let's start working on the sources that cast Lurrus, starting with the blue ones because they also cantrip. So now we have played around Lurrus eating our graveyard. And now we just start bashing with a 6/6 Knight. We have a 3-turn clock. We can selectively Life from the Loam some stuff back. But like every resolved Life from the Loam means that the Lurrus is just further and further away from having any real impact on the game. I don't know that you can afford to wasteland me. You can take my Taiga, and then I can't turn Taiga into a wasteland. But what's the path forward to beat the Life from the Loam? Sure. And they have conceded. All right, so we end up with the old 3-2 for our troubles, but both of our losses, I think, were relatively close. We stole a matchup versus Reanimator, which is something that this deck has at least some degree of trouble doing. Definitely felt competitive tonight. Definitely felt like I could have gotten the 4-1. Kaya was not overly impressive this league. Croxa was pretty actively bad and was usually boarded out. Colossus was medium. Like, it definitely helped us stabilize in a couple of matchups. And it represented a lot of passive life gain. That said, it's not a card like Bob or Knight of the Reliquary that is just going to win the game on its own in at least a lot of the matchups that we saw tonight. Maybe against a slow, like, Snow deck or like a Yorion control deck, Colossus can close the game on its own. But I did not feel like that was the case versus, like, Delver, for example. The version that Connor 5-0'd with had Thespian Stage and Dark Depths in the 2 spots where the Windswept Heaths were, and I did not miss having access to that. It was not even something that I thought about at all. So I would probably keep the Windswept Heaths over playing a 2-card Dark Depths combo. I think Croxa is just bad. Like, I get that it's a threat that you can loam into, but I think it's worse than Uro is in, like, the blue versions of Loam by quite a bit. Getting red, red, black, black is somewhat difficult since a lot of the lands don't actually contribute to that. So I think Croxa's a meme rather than being good. Connor was singing the praises of Kaya. Kaya ate an Ether Vial versus Goblins, and like maybe one other card over the course of the league. I don't know that it's great. Yeah. So like Bant might be better. I don't know, like, Punishing Fire definitely was good tonight. So, I don't know, maybe you're supposed to just, like, go slightly greedier and just play 5-color Loam, play Okos over Kaya, play an Uro over a Kroxa, and just, like, push the mana base a little bit harder. You probably lose the Chandra Awakened Inferno in the sideboard, but not much else. I mean, hey man, all those snow decks are doing it. Why can't we do it? They have Astrolabe, we have Mox Diamond. It's only fair. I think if you play 5-color, you need to be playing some of the Triomes though, to like try and smooth out some of the mana, and those represent their own problems. Like if you're playing the Triomes, how many of like the Bojuka Bog and Cyclers can you afford to play, since those also enter tapped? If you're playing 5-color, you probably can't afford Maze of Ith. So like there's going to be real deck building decisions to be made in how many colors you play. I don't know. It's food for thought. Decklist definitely felt competitive tonight. Wasteland's very good right now against a lot of the Delver decks that aren't playing basic lands. So if you Wasteland lock them before they've committed too much to the board, there's not too much that they can do about it. Force of Negation makes it slightly better than it used to be, but it's still pretty rough. But yeah, I think that's all that I have to say about the deck. Pretty happy with that one. Let's discuss some other things that are going to come to the stream in the not-too-distant future. So I got this donation from Spatula of the Ages for an 80-card Yorion deck list. I've already contacted him. The main deck here has 79 cards, so I'm not sure exactly what happened with the last one, but I'll figure that out. So I'll be playing this sometime in the not-too-distant future. Yeah, Arkin. I have played against a couple of different Loam decks that were playing 5 colors with the Triomes, and they played 2 of the Triomes, and they looked pretty good, because you often don't have a turn 1 play with Loam. Like, on the non-Mox Diamond hands, your turn 1 play is either Green Sun pass or just pass most of the time. So having a Triome that you can just get on turn 1 with a fetch is pretty good. So this is something that I'm going to be playing soon. I kind of want to do a stream with this Grim Monolith version of Red Prison, which was in one of the recent like Legacy Challenges or something from the weekend. Grim Monolith is a card that I really, really respect in this archetype. I'd never thought of it before, if I'm being totally honest, because off either a Soul Land or Mox plus land, it lets you play a 3-drop on turn 1. So it's another way to play turn 1 Tranosphere or Ensnaring Bridges, or even Chalice, if that's something that you need to do. I guess it's awkward to cast Chalice because it taps for 3 and it costs 2 to make, but you get the idea. And Grim Monolith means that you can super aggro out a Chandra. Like, turn 2 Chandra becomes very reasonable. Like, if you go... Like, red's the limiting factor there. So, like, let's say you went, like, land, Mox, Monolith, turn 1. Then all you have to do is go land to get turn 2 Chandra. And that's super good. So this is something I want to try out. And then maybe we'll do another stream with, like, the White Weenie deck. That's something that I definitely consider doing in the not-too-distant future. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed tonight. If you did, and you're not a regular follower, please consider following the channel. And if you really enjoy the content, please consider doing something to support me, such as subscribing and getting my sweet emotes, or, you know, maybe doing a donation deck list. Have a great rest of the night. I'm going to host someone. Let's host Caleb. I can't type. /raid. Caleb DMTG. All right, folks, have a great rest of the evening. I hope you are enjoying Legacy, and if you didn't already listen to it, there is a new Eternal Glory up. Enjoy that as well.